Hi guys, my name is Wildkard and welcome back to my channel. Crusaders versus Brumbies in New Zealand, in Christchurch. This was a really good game. This game has brought some confidence in me back into Australian rugby. The Brumbies has performed exceptionally well under the circumstances. Away in New Zealand is always a really hard game to win. One of the stats showed up in the game. Apparently, last time the Brumbies beat the Crusaders in Christchurch was year 2000, 21 years ago. And at that time, during that game, the current Crusaders coach, Scott Robinson, was playing on the field. So that's how long ago the Brumbies were, the Brumbies last beat Crusaders at home. So yeah, to get so close this game, to just get a draw would have been really good. But yeah, Crusaders were able to clutch that last few, to be able to squeeze out that very lucky win over the Brumbies. Yeah, really good performance from Brumbies. The game was pretty close. The lineouts, both teams were having a bit of issues. The scrums, both teams have issues as well. But when the scrums were good, the Crusaders did have a bit of an advantage over the Brumbies scrums. The backline seems to be pretty evenly matched. The Brumbies has a lot of running power, and the Crusaders also has really good running power from their center field. And Richie Mwanga is just a magician basically around the field. So overall, it was pretty closely matched game, and the scoreboard showed, and it was very entertaining. The Crusaders did, however, put a few of their players on the bench / not playing. So the 2021 All Blacks captain Scott Barrett was supposedly coming off the bench, but I don't think he was on the field by the end of the game. So he wasn't starting. Sever Reese wasn't playing. So yeah, the Crusaders did not, I guess, put in 100% of the power on the field. But it was, I wouldn't take anything away from the Brumbies for that effort. Anyway, let's go from the start. Right from the start, the Crusaders were attacking quite fluidly, I guess. I don't know. English is hard. Anyway, there was a lot of smooth plays from the Crusaders. Basic attacking patterns, spreading the ball all the way to the left hand side, exhaust all the space on one side, and then just turn the ball around to try to run the other way and try to utilize the open space on the other side. And that's basically what the Crusaders did. They exhausted all the space with good hands on the left hand side, all the way up to the touchline. And then they just quickly spun the ball out to the right, and there was just a two-man overlap, basically. The Brumbies were scrambling. 5 minutes into the game, Blackadder goes over for Crusaders. Blackadder is the number 6. He wasn't even he's a forward, so he got the ball, and there was just too much space over him, and he had one guy out wide from him as well. So he had a support player, so he just runs in, scores the try for himself. Straight away, there's Crusaders on the board. And then the game kind of got a little bit clumsy. For the next 20 minutes or so, both teams were struggling to kind of build any momentum. You look like the commentators were saying that this is the grand final hangover kicking in, and both teams were just dropping the ball left and right, and there was a lot of scrums. And Paul Williams, the referee, actually did a really good job overall for this game. But I think with the scrum course, he was a little bit slow, in my opinion, in getting the scrum set and getting the ball to be put in. So there was a few penalties against Crusaders for pushing early and engaging early, and that was just, I feel like the calls were a little bit slow from Paul Williams. But anyway, finally around 25 minutes into the game, the stalemate kind of broke. Simone made a break. I think it was from an intercept, and he just ran a huge distance and put Crusaders under a lot of pressure. And this is literally the first attacking possession that the Brumbies really, really had, and they really want to take opportunities on this. There was an offside against the Crusaders, so the Brumbies worked really, really hard for their first try. So there was an offside. They went to a line out. When they did a quick ball from line out, and then basically they were, instead of putting pressure on, the first time they did it, they got the ball out of the line out. Lolosio kind of like just did a grubber kick, and it was just like a throwaway kind of kick. It wasn't like they didn't really build any pressure. They just got the ball out and then he just grubber kicked it. Luckily, the Crusaders kind of like knocked on from the grubber kick, so the Brumbies got the ball back. Again, this is where the Crusaders were penalized, I think, for an early push in the scrum. Brumbies end up taking a quick tap, offside Crusaders, and Brumbies went, okay, now we have full-on penalty, let's go for another line-out. So second liner comes in, Brumbies set off the maul. The famous maul, Brumbies maul, that like demolished Australian teams. Crusaders, man, best 4-pack in the world, just not only stops them all, pushes them all back, drives the Brumbies backwards about 5-6 meters. Brumbies gets the ball out, quick ball, quick crash ball, short ball, and then another quick crash short ball. They got really, really close to try line, and then the Lonergan gets the ball out, pass to a big prop standing next to him, Scott Seo. Seo was just massive around the fringement, and he runs into Richie Muonga, who's like probably half his weight, half of Seo's weight. He's too big, just too big for Richie Muonga. Runs him over, scores right under the sticks. First try for the Brumbies. It took a lot of hard work for the Brumbies to get that one. Now you're thinking, in fact, I was thinking, okay, just don't give away a penalty or try too quickly. And this seems to happen a lot to Australian teams, where you will score, like work really hard to score a try, and then you just let it go, and then the opposition scores a try right back at you. We kind of saw that yesterday to the utmost extreme, where the Waratahs versus the Hurricanes, where both teams just like letting the other team score right after they scored, resulted in some like astronomical numbers. But anyway, so yeah, 1 minute later from the kickoff, it was just like a really soft try here. From kickoff, the Brumbies knock on, and there was and then there was a scrum for the Crusaders, and they just pick up the ball. Came out, the halfback passes the ball to Richie Muonga. Muonga was on the blind side, on the short side. Muonga runs up, he looks out, and this two forwards peeled off. I think it was the forward and the halfback peeled off on the scrum to cover Muonga from the inside, and Muonga just stepped both of them on the inside and just run straight through. As you can imagine, Muonga literally beat two defenders that's drifting out wide to cover him with an inside step. And it just looks so easy. Straight away, 1 minute later, Muonga scores. And Crusaders back on the ball. 28 minutes. A minute later. Anyway, that's how the last try that was scored in the first half. There was towards the end of the first half. Holy lordy. There was so many scrums. Just scrums, resets, scrums, penalty or short on penalty, free kick, and then a few phases later, someone knock on again. So there was a lot of scrummaging in the first half. Very, very scrappy. Very, very. I guess it's the grand final hangover kicking in. Anyway, second half starts. But just before the end of the first half, Havili scores an intercept try for Crusaders. 35th minute. So there was a lot of stalemate going on, I'm saying. And then Havili just out of nowhere, he read it perfectly. So Brumbies had I think it was a halfway point. Brumbies had a ball in the ruck. So there was there was an open side, a big open side, and a relatively big blind side. So the ball was kind of like just off midfield, and I think someone on the blind side was calling, "Hey, let's go blind, let's go blind." So the halfback Lonergan, he was literally looking at an open side. He picks the ball up, and he was looking at passing the ball to the open side, and he must have heard the call from the blind side. So he turns around and he throws the ball to the blind side. And that took a very, very long time. And Havili just like probably heard the players calling for blindside and saw the halfback picking up the ball and turning like 180 degrees to pass the ball to the blindside. He just runs up, reads the pass perfectly, intercepts the ball. He ran 55 meters to score the third try for the Crusaders. Two extremely soft, easy try for the Crusaders in the first half. So that's how the first half finished. A few minutes, second half starts. The Brumbies strikes back with the first try. 9 minutes into the second half. Okay. So there was a penalty against Crusaders, and Brumbies decided to go with their bread and butter. They kicked the ball out for a line out, and then the line out comes in. They set up for a try. It didn't really go anywhere. They did a quick. Let's see what happened here. Yeah, so they did a few quick faces off the line out. They got really, really close to the line, and this is a really, really weird try actually. Simone scores this one. So the ball got really close to the try line, and there was a pile of bodies on the ground, and the Lonergan was standing over the rock, looking at the rock and looking around to see where the ball's gonna go next. And he's looking to the rock, and it looks like he's about to pick the ball up from the rock, but the ball is not actually like anywhere in sight. So he's kind of like looking at his position. He's got his hands like kind of like in front of him like this, and he's looking around like he's about to take the ball out, but the ball was not there, right? So, and then I beg your pardon, Simone was standing like basically next to the rock as like a pillar, like just sitting next to the rock on the left hand side. He's practically in the rock, but nobody's touching him, so he's not in the rock. But he's like, if somebody had put their hand on him, he would have been in the rock. But he was just standing there, right? And the ball just popped out to the side, like it didn't roll out, but the ball just appeared on his side, like right in front of him, on like off to the side of the rock. The ball just like appeared in front of him. It didn't even pop out or anything. It just like squeezed out of the bodies, right? And then Simone just went, oh, there's the ball. And because he's pretty much like in the rock, the try line is literally like just about a foot in front of him, right? So he just goes, oh, here we go. Picks the ball up, puts it down right in front of him. Try time. And nobody was like knows what happened. Like everyone's just like, everybody in Crusaders team is looking at the halfback Lonergan, trying to see where it's going to pass the ball to, because Lonergan's sitting there like looking like he's about to take the ball out, and then suddenly the ball pops out of sight, and Simone just went, oh, here it is, try time. And it was quite a lucky try for him. A good, like, kind of like, yeah, I think it was a bit of acting from both of them. Not sure if it was planned or not, but the Lonergan's acting definitely got all the Crusaders' attention, looking at him, wondering where the ball's gonna go. And yeah, he was nowhere near the ball. But that was the second try for the Brumbies, and the first try in the second half. Okay, a few minutes later, on the 60th minute, 10 minutes later on the 60th minute, the game kind of grinds to a halt at this point. Brumbies had a penalty, and they decided to take the first kick for 3 points in the game, and that is the only 3 points either team took this game. Lolosio slotted 3 points on another 3 points on the ball for the Brumbies. So at this point, Brumbies well and truly back into the game. They're 2 tries up. I think they are 19 points to 17 at this point. So they're just 2 points behind. Was it 19 points 17? Or was it 19 points to 16? I can't remember. Yeah, 19 points to 17. So they're just 2 points behind. And it was looking like a very close game at this point. However, the Crusaders put some pressure on. 62nd minute, there was a denied try for the Crusaders. So Crusaders went over again, had numbers out wide. The ball passes to the sideline. The try scorer goes over and he gets pushed out and his foot touches the try line as he was pushed out. And there's a little bit of controversy coming up here, right? So he got pushed out. There was a Brumbies line out. Brumbies throws the ball in. And anyway, Brumbies threw the ball in, get the line out cleanly, and Brumbies kicked the ball out. So now the Crusaders has a line out at the 22-meter mark for the Brumbies, from the Brumbies try line. So Crusaders throw the ball in, the game plays on, and Crusaders knocks on, and the referee's like, all right, advantage, knock on advantage, scrum Brumbies. And then the touch judge makes a call that Brumbies had illegally thrown their player across in front of the Crusaders line out to basically disrupt the Crusaders line out illegally, and it was a full-on penalty. So this is really, really terrible. I saw that, and they showed the replay, and it was, so basically the rule is you have to lift your player straight up for a line out. You can't just like lift your player across like this and throw him across to block the pass, basically, to block the ball. You have to pull him up kind of like, relatively straight, and he kind of lean over to try to get the ball. You can't just like throwing him over. So the replay showed that they lifted him up straight, and he kind of just fell over to the Crusaders as he was coming down. He did not like interrupt the line out in any way, shape, or form illegally. He didn't like touch anyone on the way down or smack the ball off on the way down. He just like literally fell. And that the touch, the referee, Paul Williams, is a very good referee. He didn't see anything wrong with that. And this idiot on the sideline thinks he wants to make a call, tells Paul that they illegally threw the guy across. This is really bad. Like, this is basically New Zealand rugby not giving adequate training to these referees. It's the New Zealand rugby's fault. It's not the referee's fault. He thinks he saw something, but that was not the case. Completely wrong. And then, this happens to be a big turning point for the game as well. So I was really, really like disgusted by this. Like, I just want to turn off. Like, I didn't want to waste time watching this anymore because it's just so like such a monumental like turning point to the game. And the referee on the sideline overrides the main referee on the field, who was literally closest to the lift, from like literally was 5 yards away from the line out, looking at the line out, didn't see anything wrong, and this idiot from the sideline overrides the on-field referee for something that didn't even happen. It was awful refereeing. I almost just wanted to turn the TV off at this point. It looks so bad. Anyway, Crusaders got the full-on penalty. They went for another line out. And then they went for a maul, and the Crusaders maul was a lot better than the Brumbies maul. The Brumbies maul didn't go anywhere, but the Crusaders did, and the Crusaders mauled over for a try. O'Connor is the lucky recipient of this maul. Crusaders gets their fourth try of the game, and this was a huge turning point. And I was very, very like disgusted to see that, like a Kiwi referee from the sideline overriding Paul Williams, who is probably the number 2 best referees in New Zealand, just under Ben O'Keefe, and one of the best referees in the world, for something that's just absolute garbage and like game-changing as well. So it was just awful game. But anyway, I was a little bit down at this moment, and Crusaders follow this up with another try. So the scores are really close up to this point, and Crusaders follow this up a few minutes later with another try by Grace. So he was the number 8, and the Crusaders basically were putting continuous pressure on the Brumbies again, and there was literally he was like, he's been like a tough game, look like he had a huge cut on the side of his head, and it was just blood pouring down the side of his head. And the camera was literally on him before he's like saying, before this line-out was just about to happen. Crusaders attacking line-out 5 meters out. They're like, yeah, he looked like he needs like Band-Aid or something. They need to strap his head up. He's just pouring blood out. But there are some people out there who had, if they're bleeding and they can sense their own blood, they kind of goes up and out of gear. Maybe that's what happened to Grace. The Crusaders got the line out, get the ball, two quick faces. They got tackled just under the sticks, and then so they were going to they looked like they were gonna keep going in the same direction, open side, but there was a call to switch directions. So there was quick switch. Basically, they were going to the left, and then there was a call to switch back to the right as they were just like in the middle of the field, and the halfback did a really good flat pass, pinpoint accurate, straight to Grace's hand, and he just ran this beautiful line straight through the middle, under the post, try for Crusaders. 68th minute. And at this point, I was just like, maybe I should just take a break and forget about the rest of the game. But, the Superman of the Brumbies, Tom Banks. Man, he's so good. He's so good. 2 minutes later, Tom Banks pulls the Brumbies out of the dirt with his just sheer superhuman athleticism. He's done this a few times against Australian teams when he gets the ball seemingly out of nowhere. He just runs through your defense and scores a try. And you kind of figure that's just because of some of the Australian defense is not that good. Tom Banks is just superhuman. He did exactly that against Crusaders for this try. Okay, so Brumbies had the ball at around the 50 meter line, and there was a nice loop around in midfield, and the guy who got the loop ball threw a pass to Banks, who was coming in from a very deep angle, and he just ran around, and the first tackler just completely shrugged with the first tackler. He ran in again a nice angle, shrugged at the first tackler, goes straight through the defense line, and he runs down. The fullback comes up to cover him. He just steps inside, completely stepped the fullback, and then there was another guy coming in. The second, I guess maybe it was a winger. I think the blindside winger sweeps in to try to tackle him as well. Again, Tom Banks just shrugged him off and bolts himself through, scores a try. Man, he looked good. He just looked like just power, just sheer hard running power. Just, he literally looked like a horse strutting through the Crusaders defense. It was just unbelievable how good he is and how powerful his running was. Shrugged off two defenders and stepped to third to score a magnificent 50+ meter run solo individual try and puts the Brumbies back into the game. So Brumbies are one try behind, looking like it's game on. Okay, and then for the last about 5 minutes, the Brumbies were just really trying to put a squeeze on to try to get the last try on the board for the Crusaders for the draw. There was a lot of repeatedly penalties against Crusaders, and there was a lot of repeat penalties, and the referee Paul Williams gave Crusaders a warning. Okay, you can't give away any more penalties anymore. And sure enough, Crusaders gave away more penalties to try to hold off this last try from the Brumbies. And there was a yellow card issued with about 3 minutes left of the game. And then the Brumbies, instead of opting for a line-out or a scrum, I guess the scrums obviously didn't doing so well. And I was a bit curious why they didn't go for the line-out. The Brumbies just took quick taps with these penalties. Quick tap and run, quick tap and run. There was another penalty. Yeah, there was two penalties basically. And the Brumbies just took quick taps for both of them. Eventually, the Brumbies were able to go from... Yeah, so basically Brumbies were attacking. They spread the ball out wide to the left-hand side, and Tom right was the final recipient of the ball on the sideline. He runs up as he's getting tackles. He flicks the ball infield, like he did a flick pass infield to Valentini. Valentini, just huge guy. He's been doing some really like, every time he runs the ball, he makes past the advantage line and he makes big yards for the Brumbies. So Valentini gets the ball and it was a mismatch. Basically, it was a Valentini against, I think, against those, like a Crusader backline. So Valentini was way too big, way too powerful, runs him over, crashes over for the 4th try for the Brumbies. And as the clock ticks over 80, Brumbies had a chance to draw the game. Lolosio, and this is the hardest kick he's got this whole match, right from the sideline. And man, he's pretty good at kicking, but this kick was not the one. Was not quite. Very regrettable. He just sliced it a little bit, and the ball just missed the post by about a few inches. Very close, but could have been a draw. Could have been a historic draw for the Brumbies. But overall, I'm pretty happy to the way that the Brumbies came back. Other than that awful referee decision, the sideline referee to override the on-field referee, like that's only a thing recent years you're able to do. Like in old days, maybe not even old days, like 5 years ago, the sideline referees are not allowed to override the on-field referee. There's a reason that the referee on the field is on the field, because they have more experience and they are more, they are the starting referee because they have more experience than the referees on the sideline. And this idiot on the sideline decides to make a call that wasn't even like an issue to override the on-field referee. And it wasn't a thing where like the TMO, they override the referee where they have footage they can show you, and they've watched the footage a couple times, and they're like, yeah, okay, that's clearly, a penalty or something. He just saw it live, just like the referee on the field. And he makes the call, overrides Paul Williams, one of the best referees in the world, and a big turning point for the game. Very disappointing. Very poor refereeing. New Zealand Rugby really needs to give more support, more training to their referees, because this is like things like that is the reason people stop watching. Like, nobody wants to watch a game where the referees are just blatantly making calls that seems to be beneficial to the home team. Like, very biased calls. You can probably not because he's actually biased, but just really bad calls that seemingly you're biased because you are a Kiwi. And that call drastically changed the game for the Crusaders. Anyway, there's 2 more games to go tonight, guys. Thanks for watching this video. I'll see you guys a little bit later. Cheers.